episode of the IC Lounge is sponsored in part by the Montgomery County Probate Court. From wills and estates to vehicle registration, business licenses, and elections, the Montgomery County Probate Court is committed to serving the citizens of Montgomery County with courtesy and efficiency, and to protect the rights and liberties of all who appear before the court. For more information about the Montgomery County Probate Court and its services, visit montgomeryprobatecourtal.gov or call 334-832-1240. Want to transform your workplace environment? Imperial Consulting Services Group collaborates with organizations of any size to build diverse, inclusive, tech-driven workplaces through fostering responsible leadership and cultivating engaged employees. We offer DEI and belonging consulting and training, strategic planning, and professional, organizational, and design services. Put our proven strategies to work for you. Schedule your appointment today at imperialcsg.com.
Welcome to the IC Lounge, where we embrace the diversity of conversation. I'm Angela Washington, and today we're tackling a pressing topic, crime in Montgomery and Central Alabama. We're not just talking about the problems, we're exploring solutions, the role of parental involvement, and the need for tougher penalties for gun crimes. Joining me today are two distinguished guests, Tony Garrett, Executive Director of Central Alabama Crimestoppers, and Dr. David Thrasher, local physician and advocate who understands how crime impacts the health and mental wellness of our community. Thank you guys for being here with me today.
Oh, you're welcome.
I appreciate it. Dr. Thrasher and Tony. Yes, thank you for accepting the invitation. So, Tony, let's start with you. You are a veteran. You retired from the Montgomery Police Department with over 20 years of service, and you now lead the organization you helped found. Tell us how your years in law enforcement led you to Crimestoppers, what Crimestoppers does, and why this work is so important to you.
Well, really, it started with the Montgomery Police Department. I retired as a lieutenant in 2012 when I was just a slick sleeve police officer. I found the organization Crimestoppers. Okay. I found out about it, and what I wanted to do, I wanted to bring alternatives to Montgomery and start a Crimestoppers program, because at that time we had the secret witness number, and what that number consisted of, you call in and all they do is record your information, and that's it. What I wanted was a program where you call in, you get a live person, and we're able to ask questions that are needed to actually help solve a crime or find a fugitive or provide you with some type of service. So in 1997, we started Crimestoppers, myself and then WSFA reporter Beth Jack.
Okay, cool.
And the reason that we started it because we wanted something new. And we wanted something that had more heart, where when you called and you actually wanted some type of service, that you actually got it. And today we serve 33 counties. Wow. 121 law enforcement agencies with signed MOUs, not including state and federal agencies, where you can call 215-STOP, Crimestoppers statewide, and you can download our app and you can report crime or just find out about a service in your community. Wow. We answer the phone 24/7, so you always get a live person.
Good deal. I love it. So, Dr. Thrasher, tell us about yourself and what pushed you to become involved in the effort to create safer communities.
Well, I guess it's a long story. I've been a pulmonary critical care doctor here in Montgomery, my hometown, for over 40 years. And the first pandemic I was involved with was the hardest 2 years of my life, the COVID. As a pulmonary doctor, we're always worried about a disease, a virus coming through there that we didn't have any exposure to, and not knowing what to do. That happened. I was on the verge then of slowing down. I'll never retire. It's almost as I retire, but I was going to slow down. And as I looked around, we didn't know what we were doing. It was scary times. I said, well, I can't walk out. I couldn't look myself in the mirror if I walked out on this biggest crisis of my life as a doctor. So what I did, again, we didn't know what we were doing. I called my buddy Michael Zag. He's an infectious disease doctor at UAB. I linked up with him at University of Minnesota and Emory. And we said, all right, we're not going to have any turf battles here. We're going to try to nobody's going to be the hero. We're going to try to pool all our knowledge and figure this thing out. We would get together by the phone about once or more a week, okay? We tried all kind of stuff. Hydroxychloroquine at first, the ivermectin, the zinc, the vitamin D, all the things that you've heard of, until we realized the study showed that they didn't do any good, okay? Our group, Montgomery Pulmonary, that's pretty much all the intensive care unit really in central Alabama. And everybody we were on ventilators with COVID, we saw. Matter of fact, we lost close to 750 patients on ventilators before we got the treatment with a monoclonal antibodies infusion that you've heard of. I got a call in November from the vice president of Eli Lilly because they said, well, I had treated more people with COVID than they knew at that time. I treated probably 35 in Washington and Congress and a bunch of our local legislatures. And they said, we have a new medicine called a monoclonal antibody, bamlanivimab, named after Alabama because the vice president of Eli Lilly was from Auburn and from Alabama. So I said, I'll try it. So came down here, and the first two patients ever to get it were members of the Porch Creek Indians. They lived on a reservation. One was 87 and 89. And I got this call Friday. They flew down there, educated me on it. We brought these people up to the emergency room after we got permission from the state health officer because we didn't have time to go through protocol in the hospital. So they came there, and he looked like he was going to roll over and die. He said he hadn't been out of bed in 3 or 4 days. His wife was very ill too. I said, my Lord, I'm going to give something that's never been given in Alabama, never been given in the South, only 11 times outside of worldwide clinical trials, and I'm going to kill these people. So anyway, we did it. The next morning, I called down there. They lived in Atmore. And Miss Brown answered the phone, and how you doing? I said, I feel a little bit better. I gingerly asked about Mr. Brown, thinking he would say he died last night. He said, he's out there chopping wood. I said, chopping wood? I said, then I knew I had something. So at that point on, for 2 years, we battled COVID, but we had a treatment. The one reason I'm saying all this, at the end of that pandemic, I was going to sit back, smell the roses, play with my grandkids a little bit. But about early May, my house got burglarized, and now I know the difference between a robbery and a burglary. Burglary, you're not confronted with a person, robbery you are. We got burglarized, and it could have been a very dangerous situation. We missed the robber probably within 15 minutes. Anyway, so I called the mayor's office, the chief of staff, Chip Hill, as a Chip, and I didn't know him real well, but I'd seen him several times over the years and knew he's a nice guy. I said, Jim, we got a rampant crime problem here. We got to do something. And he took offense to that. So we do not have a big crime problem here. And so I went and started looking at statistics. I said, well, we do have one. And so I did an email to him, the mayor, city council, county commission, and later on the governor and lieutenant governor, attorney general. I found out that our homicide per capita is higher than Chicago, and our burglary rate was 8 times the national average. Robbery rate was probably twice that average, and it's very difficult to tell for sure about burglaries because, as Tony knows, we're so down on numbers in the police department. We only had at least a month ago, maybe changed now, 15 detectives, and they're busy working the homicides. And so I said, we got to do something. So I started communicating with them. And I'm a critical care doctor. All my life I've seen people, shootings, stabbings, all this. We work with the trauma surgeons, and they were saying, we've got to do something. We're overwhelmed. They average two shootings or stabbings a day. Last year we had 75 homicides, and we're on track this year to probably equal that or do better. Now, why does that matter? Well, first of all, they're burned out. You can imagine going to work every day knowing that a lot of your day is going to be a shooting or a near homicide, and they get burned out, okay? we have traveling our doctors who come relieve them every 4th to 5th weekend, okay, because it's so intense. Dr. Vermillion, Dr. Mullins group. About 6 weeks ago, our traveling trauma surgeon was pinned down at I won't name the restaurant to mess them up, but at a restaurant that we all go to, and he was on the floor, and I got a phone call, and make a long story short, they were shooting cars up. He didn't get shot, but it goes out there and cars were vandalized and shot up. Okay, well, about 2 Saturdays or Sundays ago, we had a relief neurosurgeon, a trauma surgeon, because people get shot in the head, have bleeds in the head, all kinds of stuff. We only have one neurosurgeon at Baptist Hospital, and she was waking up. She was on Hull Street, beautiful old houses, and she wanted to be in an Airbnb, just like the way it looked on internet. She woke up at 2 o'clock with a bunch of gunshots, and goes out there, and her car was shot up. And she called Baptist Hospital and said, "I'm out of here. Until you get the city safer, I'm out of here, never again." We have a hard time recruiting doctors. Again, we do pulmonary critical care in my group, and for 40 years we've had a tough time to recruit. I don't know why. We got a beautiful city. Education's been a problem. That's getting better, but now we've got a crime thing to deal with. But it's always hard to recruit doctors here. So I won't name the hospital because it's hard to be very transparent and tell people a problem, but steer people away.
Right.
I've been one of the biggest proponents of Montgomery, worked with Chamber of Commerce for years, so I don't want to do that, but I want to fix it so then we can advertise ourselves better and come here. Anyway, we had 2 doctors that looked like they were going to assign, okay? We put them up in East Chase, 2 nice hotels. Next day, they woke up, and I think there was 19 cars that were broken into. I don't know if they were shot, but they busted into. And they said, "Dr. Thrasher, you said this is a wonderful, safe city. We're going to look somewhere else." That was 2 doctors. That's 4 doctors right there, And I've had doctors write me and say, "As soon as my contract's up, I love the city, but when my kids finish high school, we're going to leave." And that one said, "My wife is afraid to go to the mall. She's afraid to take her kid, let the kids go to the mall. And she said, if Mom ain't happy, nobody's happy. I don't want to leave. It's wonderful here. We've got great people." So I said, I've got to do something. So I started working with this quest, if you will, for my second pandemic, like a pandemic of crime, and trying to figure out solutions. I am not a law enforcement like my expert here, Tony, is. Right. I'm so glad to link up with him today. I've heard about Crimestoppers, and I was talking to somebody in Atlanta today and how Crimestoppers do so well there. But nobody wants to hear some old white man complaining all the time. I'm not going to do that. I'm trying to offer solutions. Not my solutions, but these come from active and retired MPD, FBI, ALEA, and our sheriff's department, And I think that they're reasonable, but I've been advocating a city-county task force because I talked with Judge Price, and he said, this is more than one person can do. I'm no expert, so I got, if you want, I got 5 kind of points that I think we need to look at. One is MPD recruitment. As I've said publicly, morale is bad. We won't go into reasons, but it's bad, and we're raising the salary. It should be even more. I was cornered for 13 years. One thing I did, I started salary back then was $28,000, and I got them pretty soon about $33,000. So I want the salaries they should be. The city council will choke. I want them to be $100,000. Okay, they deserve it. Nurses deserve that. Anyway, that's
teachers as well. Yes. Teachers as well.
Absolutely. And so we got to have more boots on the ground. We're budgeted for $490. They said we got $290, but actually we got about $220 on the streets because Tony knows somebody's got to be on the phone, somebody's got to be on the desk, right. This and that. So 3 shifts about $220, and that's just not enough. It's not enough to have a patrol car at Eastdale Mall all the time, like what happened. You got shot up the other day. It used to be all over that. So that's one part of it. Other one. I call it at-risk kids programs, okay? I'm real big on that, okay? It can't start with that, 'cause that's a 20-year program. I been very active with the Boys and Girls Club. I founded the Boys and Club Foundation, which is about 90% minority, okay? I was honored by the Martin Luther King Dexter Memorial Church for community service to the African American community. So I'm not coming at you as a white conservative, you know, put them all, lock them up in jail guy. At-risk kids program, I call it. Our ministers are doing a great job there, but there's so much to do. The problem, and I know you want to get this, somebody said, what is the root of the problem? Is several. Historical racism, historical bad schools. But now, when I was growing up here, you know, didn't have a lot of black friends, but the ones I did, they had a mom and a daddy. They were poor, okay, but they had a mom and daddy, and that's kind of gone away. Everybody's got a father, but not many of them have daddies. So that's what we need, and that's where the clergy gonna come in. So that's the second, the at-risk kids program. I think we need to do bail reform. If you try to commit murder, Amy Dix, I don't know her, but my friend was behind her, and his car got shot up. He wasn't hit. But if you try to kill somebody, I think it's reasonable that you spend time in jail until you go to trial. That's just call me old-fashioned, but you know we got to have some bail reform. And there's things that the bail companies have done. You say $100,000 bail. Well, you know, they don't put 10% of their payment plan. They may pay $1,000, and one of the Amy Dix ladies that was charged, she got out a few $100 and went and got arrested a few days later stealing a gun. Okay, so that bail reform, judicial reform, okay, that's a big part of it. And then gun reform. Okay, I'm a lifelong hunter. I belong to the NRA. I've got a lot of problems with them right now for what they're doing. But as somebody said, good old boy. Okay, you know, I am not going to taking your guns away. Condoleezza Rice, I was here several years ago, and I heard her tell a story. I lived in Birmingham, and all the mess was going in Birmingham. She said, if we were not allowed to keep our guns, we would have been killed in Birmingham. That's Condoleezza Rice, okay? And so I'm not for taking away guns. I am for doing some type of identification. I'm for concealed carry. I've got one, but if you don't do that, at least have a card that shows me who you are. Walking down the street with an AK-47. Y'all saw the video, the 18-year-old kid robbed, you know. If a police walks down the street, somebody told me, naked with AK-47, all they do is arrest him for being naked, okay? They can't even ask, where do you get that gun? Now, that's crazy.
Sheriff Cunningham just said that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, you know, these switches, I know the Supreme Court just outlawed bump stocks, maybe they can rewrite whatever the problem they had, but I'm a hunter. You don't need a machine gun, okay? But I'm not even going that far. Right now, if you just give me something, they can ask where those five guns on the seat when they pull them over. Right. Show me you're legal. You know, that's baby steps. So those are the 5 things that Angela, that I've been promoting. But the big thing is that this is too big for Tony, me, and everybody in this room. We got to have a task force. And we did get the Chamber of Commerce have this round table led by Judge Price last Monday. I don't know if you were there. Yeah, I was. Okay. I thought it went real well, you know, and we've got a police chief now, Jim Graybois. I've talked with him a bunch this last week. Talked to him about midnight, Friday night. He was out in a patrol car, okay, with one of his officers, you know, seeing what they're doing. He knows because he's been a cop a long time, but that's leadership in my book. And I met with the Latino community this past Friday morning and told him about it. And now that is a scary time bomb we're sitting on. We'll talk about that if you want to. And the Chief Graybois is going to link up with them and go to their meetings. And so we got so much to do. And I'll stop there and shut up and
You've led it to a good point for me to ask Tony a question that kind of touches a little bit on what you already have stated. Based on your experience, what do you believe is driving the vice and crime? What are some of the main challenges you're facing, or we're facing?
Well, we're facing that the community knows everything that's going on. To me, I'm not a firm believer that crime is just rampant and out of control. I think we're sort of reaping what we sow. A while back, there were communities where people were sleeping in their bathtub and complaining about being shot at and drive-bys. That was just at one part of the city of Montgomery, and I can go on to other cities to give the example, but we're talking about Montgomery today. Now we see it in other parts of Montgomery, and everyone knows about it instantaneously. Where it used to be where those people's voices were not heard. Now everyone is getting accustomed to it. Everyone is finding out about it, and everyone has their own news source or way they gather information, such as this podcast. There are a lot of people that have podcasts. There are a lot of people that are able to put their cell phone up and go Facebook Live, and they're able to report news that might not even be true. And that's a big factor. When you don't have anyone out there ahead of the message, it sort of goes rampant, and it sort of makes people afraid to go places where all it takes is a person maybe saying, okay, this is the reason that this incident occurred. We've caught the people, or they've left the area, and we have this under control. So I love for agencies all over the state, those agencies that I love, that I speak with the chief or the sheriff, they get out in front of the messaging. So that's one thing that we can maybe improve upon in the city of Montgomery.
PR
is more PR. Getting out in front of the guys that just put the cell phone up and just show.
Which is kind of different. It's kind of hard when people have their phones with them everywhere, and like you said, they're recording incidents, or they're just going Facebook Live or whatever they do, put it on TikTok or whatever. And what do you do?
Now, it's not the police department's job. The meeting that we had Monday, we heard a lot of response from the attorney, the district attorney's office, the police department, the sheriff's department, U.S. Marshals. And they all said about, well, this is what we have to do. This is what we're doing to combat that. This is what we're doing to combat that. They had a lot of wraparound services.
Okay.
We got to get back to the point of where the sheriff's department and the police department, they're actually doing police work. Versus they have to pretty much put police officers or personnel on other programs. I'm a nonprofit. My job is to try to fill those holes. And there are a lot of nonprofits in that audience that we need to go ahead and reach out to those nonprofits, so our police department and law enforcement, they don't have to go that way. But a lot of times in law enforcement, we have to fill the gaps. We have to fill those big gaping holes that's missing.
That's true.
So we have to, law enforcement has to piggyback with the Boys and Girls Club, with the YMCAs, with the mentoring programs. But their job is to patrol. Their job is to investigate. Their job is to fight crime. But because there are so many gaping holes out there, they're having to put resources where it don't belong. That's why you have those people talking about defunding the police. They're not really talking about defunding the actual police department. They're talking about defunding some of the programs, such as no one agency, I think New York, it may have had 2.3 million just for homelessness in their budget. That might be one of those issues where, okay, let's get that 2.3 million to an actual homeless program that they're able to deal with that problem or deal with that issue versus giving it to a police department.
So you're saying really our business model need to be revisited?
Yes.
Because the gaps that we have, we're filling them with the wrong thing.
We have to get back to the basics. And then he was speaking about the amount of calls for service. Your house got broken into. It was after the fact that you called the police, but it took an hour for the police to get there, correct?
Correct.
Sometimes that's because we are spoiled as public, as citizens. We're spoiled.
Sure.
We can go ahead and have a process where if your lawnmower got stolen and you don't have a serial number, you don't know the make and model, you can just do that report online. You don't have to call a police officer to come out about your lawnmower being stolen, because the truth is, if they get your lawnmower back, you can't prove it's yours. You have to have your name, or you have to have make, model, serial number. So we need to look at, when do you call the police, and do you really need to call the police for certain things?
But do you think, it used to be a time where there was a lot of public or community outreach. You don't think that's a need as far as like teaching what you're just saying about the serial numbers? I do know that myself. They tell you when you purchase TVs, take a picture or write down whatever it is on the back of it. Try to keep your receipts. Go ahead and Xerox it, because it'll
police department, that was my bread and butter.
I know
the crime prevention and community policing. My job was to go out in the community and tell the public, hey, look, you don't have to call the police on everything, but here are some of the things that you can do to make it better.
And I say that because when you said we need to put it in other places, well, put it where it needs to go. Somebody, you know how people are, they very, opinionated about, well, we do need these services. Why do you want to take away what's going on? All of it is a need. Just get some more officers. You know what I'm saying? They may just feel like you just don't have enough people.
When I joined the police department back in 1990, October, we had 2,000 people apply for 60-man police academy. 2,000 people. Right now, when I go to a church or when I go to an organization, I ask the audience, raise your hand if you would allow or let or would want your child to be a police officer right now. Not a single hand goes up. That's something that we have to talk about as far as, why are we demonizing the police where no one wants to be a police officer anymore?
Yeah, you need law and order. You got to have some order.
Exactly. We have to go back and start talking about, okay, because it used to be me, I became a police officer because at a small age, this is what I always wanted to do. Right. We don't have that anymore. I'm not hearing that anymore. The ones that I do hear about it, I'm able to get them a job just like that. We gotta go ahead and start back praising our law enforcement, praising our teachers, praising the ones that are doing the work, our doctors, our nurses. We got to go back and start praising them for the job that they do and start paying them accordingly.
I agree.
I want to add, I agree with Tony 100%.
Yes.
You know, the triple homicide. Well, the George Elijah, Caucasian guy, his father was one of my best friends. We turkey hunted growing up, so as a personal injury to me, let's just say that. And I was told, I've been meeting with Hispanics, and people knew pretty quickly who the people involved, okay? And the reward got up to be $40,000, I believe. And one lady says, Dr. Thrasher, you can double that. Yeah, nobody's going to do that if they're going to afraid to be killed. But that's
you're the perfect person to respond to that too, Tony.
Yeah. But I'm a Boy Scout, okay, the Eagle Scout, and they have a Explorer program where they used to be in the schools a trooper program, okay, and I have advocated getting back to that. The public schools kind of let that drop, and I said, look, we have these technical schools for a car. Whatever, all these things.
Diesel mechanics.
Let's have a trooper technical school. I said, how cool would this be? You know, this kid graduates from high school, goes 6 weeks or whatever, 6 months to the academy, all that, and starts maybe pretty soon $55,000. And then Angela says, there's little Joey. I remember when he was playing football. He's protecting us now. That's what we want. They got to have this. Just what Tony's saying, we got to get back where it's cool.
It's respected.
And so the mama said, no, I don't want to be a cop. People get killed. You know, we got to get the. We did that with the service. Vietnam, my era, people came back, they spit on them, all that. But then my son was in the Middle Eastern wars in Iraq. And now I think when the servicemen come back, we thank them, we praise them, and that's what we need to do. I'm writing the email will probably be out Tuesday. I say, what can you do? First of all, I said, when you see a cop or a sheriff, if nothing else, go by and thank them for what
That's
they're
right.
doing. If you happen to see them at a restaurant,
Buy their dinner. That's right.
Buy the meals, little
That's
things
right.
like that. So people, I learned in my pulmonary practice, everybody likes money, but praise, and they told me, I'd rather have you praised than a raise. So that may be a little exaggeration, but you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
People want to be
It goes a long way. It goes a long way.
Yeah.
Appreciation. It goes a long way.
We give out awards, Police Officer of the Year awards, every year. We're still in process of awarding police officers from last year's work. But back to the reward got up to $40,000. We don't have to pay, but we know information came in that helped solve that crime. We pay out rewards for any information that leads to an arrest or the solving of a crime. Majority of the rewards that are put out, they're not collected. That shows us that citizens are calling and they just want to be good citizens. They just want the bad guy put out. I'm not a big proponent of the big rewards because it's more work. We put out 40,000 because of thank for some of the city councilmen, county commissioners, representatives. They said, hey, we need to put money toward this.
Right.
I had to remind them, if you put money toward this, what about the other ones? And then if you put money and it reaches a certain level, you're going to have people treating it as a lottery.
That's right.
Yeah.
Where each time we get a lot of information in like that, a lot of it's false. If you really have information, there's two reasons why you're not telling the police. One, you didn't have the opportunity because you thought somebody else was going to say something. Two is because you're part of it, either a relative or you're the only person that knows about it. It could be a number of reasons. So we pretty much, that's where we make our bread and butter. The person that says, well, I can't call the police, but I can call you. Help me through this. I need to go ahead and get this off my chest. That's where a lot of our calls came in. Now, Amy Dick's case, you mentioned it earlier. We're paying out $10,000. We still got $10,000 that we're holding on to because the tipster hadn't called us yet to claim the reward. So what we need to do is pretty much just make sure that we're available, make sure that we have the right resources, and make sure that we're teaching more as far as what's needed, as far as making the public aware. Here are our resources, and this is what we're lacking.
Absolutely.
And that's part of what we did
Absolutely.
Monday at the council that the chamber did.
So that leads into the next question, Tony, and Doc, feel free to chime in because I have some for you as well. But many of us are concerned about our youth and the number of juveniles who are getting involved in violent crime. Can you talk about some of your efforts through Crimestoppers to help our youth learn how to resolve conflict and make different choices? How can parents help in the fight against crime? You know, there used to be peer mediation programs and things of that nature.
Conflict resolution. I mean, we got national awards for our conflict resolution programs, but we used to have it in the schools.
Yes, I remember those myself.
It changed a little bit because we used to do those programs through the counselors. Well, the school system lost money, and the counselors had to go to multiple schools.
Right.
So therefore, I didn't have anyone at a school that can administer the program. There's only 3 employees at Central Alabama Crimestoppers. I know it sounds like we do a lot, but with the 3 that we have on staff, we have a few volunteers too, but the primary 3, they do a lot, and we depend on a lot of wraparound services. There are programs coming up, such as Mo Harper. He's starting a program called Stay Out of Prison. He's mentoring, he's a former NFL player. Leonard Thomas, a former Auburn player, former Canadian League player. He's starting a program called Between the Trenches. It sounds like it's athletic related, but you think about these big linemen that are on there. How many camps do you have for linemen? How many camps, football camps, do you have for linemen? None. If you have a camp, football camp, it's normally for the quarterback and the receivers and the corners. Those linemen are just sitting on the sideline. So Leonard Thomas, he's starting a program where he's picking up those guys.
Are they doing these programs here in Montgomery?
He's just now started.
Okay.
Matter of fact, he's just had one in Troy, just had one in Millbrook. So I want to bring him to Montgomery. He's out of Montgomery. I want to bring him to Montgomery and start with Mayor Reed said he's trying to bring the middle school athletic program back. I want to start there. I want to go ahead because he has a process where he's not just that one-stop trainer where I just get you for the summer and then I'm gone somewhere else.
And that's the age that's critical, the middle school.
He's staying with you the entire year and he's seeing if those mentoring programs work as far as those good comments, those making sure that you're behaving yourself, making sure that you're doing your grades. He's getting with the parents and then getting with the school system to see, okay, is what we're doing working? The athletic part, that's secondary.
That's right.
It's being a man or being a woman, pretty much teaching those principles. And one time we used to have, back in the day, you used to have the criminals. They used to have a hierarchy where the criminal would say, well, you don't steal anything from your own neighborhood. You don't rob anyone.
That's true.
From your own neighborhood.
Right.
You had that code, so to speak. Now we lost that because we lost the mentoring part in the criminal element. Now think about what we've done as in just a common place, home. As far as we've lost, you said it earlier, we've lost the traditional family, mom and daddy. If you have a single parent, they're good, they're doing their job, but just think about they're working 2 jobs.
Yep.
And you have that child that's normally that has to leave school and come home, and they're not getting any type of response from the community. It used to be relying on the church, but now try to touch somebody's kid or tell somebody's kid that they're doing wrong. It starts back with us.
Right.
We can't blame the police department. We can't blame the school system. We have to blame the family first. We have to blame us.
That's right.
If we're not pretty much standing up and being leaders in our community and being that mentor or volunteering for that program, then we got to turn the mirror back around on us.
That's right.
Because there are so many people that are doing the job. But go back to that meeting Monday that the chamber had. Every program across that table said, we don't have the manpower.
That's right.
We don't have the resources. We can't do it by ourselves.
That's right.
So we have to turn it back on us. What changed? Maybe working more than
what you already are, huh?
Yeah. So you
Which
maybe
is not
don't
fair.
have the people there to actually care the way we used to care.
That's it.
Well, let me bring out 2 things. 2 schools. Montgomery Christian School, it's they 1 through, I forgot, 5, 6, and then Valiant Academy, which both of these have been tremendous successes, successes. And some of the kids in Valiant, I was just told a couple weeks ago, they cry when they're on the way going home. You know, they you know, whatever, a tough environment, whatever you want to say it. There's a program that I just learned about just recently in Harlem where they basically have boarding schools. You know, you hear all the rich kids going to boarding school. I said, well, look, why not poor kids, at-risk kids?
At risk.
And you know, there's lots of foundation out there with money. If you put kids, education, and conservation, those 3 things are going to get you some money, you know. And I said, again, let's have a task force to go all of these things because it's just too much for 1, 10, or 100. But I'm no expert in any of this, but I got an expert right here that knows about law enforcement. We got expert Ken Austin, Kyle Cersei, Nettles that know at-risk kid stuff. We got judges that know judge stuff. We get legislatures trying to do something with the gun laws. Get that big, that's why I'm begging the mayor to do it. Let's do a city-county thing. You know, nobody has any ownership of it, but you put Judge Charlie Price in charge with the police chief and the sheriff, and then you say, all right, Angela, you are really good at this. You're in charge of that. You get your committee and come back to us. That's what I want to do. And someone said, why did you start this? So I said, oh, what do you want to do? You run for mayor? I said, no, I'm not running for mayor. I'm just trying to have more time for my grandkids. I want to be the spark that caused the fire that got people to talk. And I think that's what we hear. And now that people are talking about it, and people come, I can't tell you how many calls I've got for some mostly poor African-American women said, Dr. Thrasher, I can't say anything. I got a crack house down the road. They'll kill me if I say so. Please don't stop. And I literally cried on some of these phone calls. It was so sad. You know about the grandmother that got shot up on Mother's Day, all these kind of things. And I said, people, 98% of all cities want to do right, I believe. And they say, well, I said, there's 300 bad guys out there. That's what the police say. Some of these people are not going to, every at-risk program we have, it's not going to work. But those two kids in Lowndes County, 16 years old, okay, they're murdered. They just arrest them. Now, their lives, I won't say they're ruined, because they'll probably get out at some point in their life. But, 16 years old, and you're looking at murder charges. I heard somebody want to try them as an adult. I'm sure they won't. But that's what we got. That's the at-risk things. That's what Tony's talking about. That's where the Boys and Girls Club comes in, the mentoring, all these kind of things. But let's get that committee to put somebody in charge of that. Well,
if that is established, my concern is a lot of times people have committees and organizations, but are they truly going to? It needs to produce. It needs to yield some results.
Great point.
It needs to yield some results now.
And I suggested to the mayor, I said, look, let everybody submit their applications, but then show us what you've done. I don't want to just be an employment job place for you and your family. Ken Austin, I keep saying him because Mercy House does a good job.
Absolutely.
Boys and Girls Club does good. Make them show what they've done. Not that just, I got a great idea, give me $1 million. And that's what I think anybody is reluctant to put that $6 million out there. But show me. That's right. Show me the money,
That's right.
I think the first thing out of my mouth when I met both of you today was come by my office and see what we do. Yes. I think every nonprofit should have that same guideline or philosophy as far as you should be able to see what they do. And I'm a big believer of showing you what we do, what we've accomplished.
And you definitely have a great reputation of that. So that's why you're here today, sir.
It sure does. My son came back from Iraq, and there was a lot of veterans committing suicide. And so he and another fellow started a nonprofit called A Hero, American Heroes Enjoying Outdoors. We had a farm in Macon County. We had the people come there, veterans. All of these had traumatic head problems. All of them had at least one extremity blown off. These are bad things. He expanded that. And what I'm getting at is all the administrative costs was zero. I got people, my buddies, whatever, we're going to do this. So every dime, and we had to fly them here, we had to give them hunting licenses and fishing licenses, all these kind of things. The point being is, that's what we need to look at, just like Tony's saying, well, let's look at the administrative cost. I don't want 60% going to administration and, the rest for a kid.
I agree. Thank you for those comments so far. Coming up next, we'll continue our conversation on crime in our community and explore what we as everyday citizens can do to protect our neighborhoods. We will be back after this short break.
Got a story, community program, or event you'd like to share? You can be our guest on the IC Lounge. We also offer sponsorship opportunities that are designed to reach the customers you want most. Email us at info@icdiversity.com or call 334-625-6773.
Property fraud is one of the fastest growing areas of fraud in the country today.
REACT is designed to protect your property and to give you peace of mind. By signing up, you'll receive an email notification if a document is filed against your property.
This program is a game changer. It has the potential to prevent fraud and protect countless homeowners throughout Montgomery County.
Protect your home with REACT. Sign up today.
Want to transform your workplace environment? Imperial Consulting Services Group collaborates with organizations of any size to build diverse, inclusive, tech-driven workplaces through fostering responsible leadership and cultivating engaged employees. We offer DEI and belonging consulting and training, strategic planning, and professional, organizational, and design services. Put our proven strategies to work for you. Schedule your appointment today at imperialcsg.com.
Welcome back. We're continuing our conversation on solutions to crime in our community. Tony, most people are pretty familiar with Crimestoppers' efforts to get information from the public about crimes that have been committed or to help look for suspects. But many people may not know that Crimestoppers does a lot to reduce crimes by empowering citizens. Can you share some successful initiatives that Crimestoppers has been involved in?
Yeah, when you go talk about crime, you can go into about every shooting or murder that occurs in Montgomery. We get some type of valuable information that we're sending directly to investigators. When it goes to unsolved crimes such as a theft or shoplifting, we get some type of information when we get the request in from law enforcement. We put it on our Facebook page or share it with the media. We get some type of response. So we have, we're pretty successful in getting the community to respond to us. As far as the other things that we do, for example, last week we had a financial task force meeting. We had multiple financial institutions, including U.S. Postal Inspectors, FBI, Secret Service. They'll come over to our office and we'll have a meeting and we talk about fraud. We talk about financial crimes. We also very instrumental with Alabama Coalition Against Rape. We actually, when we serve one of the agencies out of our 120 agencies that we serve, we actually ask them what crisis center do you use as far as when it goes to sexual assault. We are involved with the Domestic Violence Task Force, where we meet with them monthly on a monthly basis, where we're talking about domestic violence issues. We haven't even talked about domestic violence in the city of Noir County. That's still a major issue.
It is.
I mean, I could go on and on. If it's dealing with crime, ATF, we have a program in the school system where we pay $500 for any gun that's found on school campus. That's including any type of knife or drugs. We're still going to give out a reward. Just this year, we probably paid out 10 rewards that to individuals that located a gun on school property. And I'm not just talking about the cases that we've had in the previous year. It's always been minutes or one period over from where the person was actually going to utilize the gun. Or where they had kill lists and had ammo and had multiple guns. One group was ready to actually go into a school system and shoot up a school system. And we were able to notify law enforcement, and they actually captured them donning masks and having a gun within 1 block away from a high school in the state of Alabama.
Awesome.
You don't hear about that because we don't put it out, because if we put it out, we would be demonizing the school system and we would have people afraid to send their kids to the school. So we make sure that we don't publicize that, because all we want is the information.
There's enough of that going on in the media as it is.
Exactly.
I agree. So a lot of people complain about crime, but at the end of the day, we have a responsibility to create the communities we want to all live in. This is a question that I want to pose to both of you. Where do we start, and what can we kind of talked about it, but just where we can be clear on that. Where do we start, and what can we as individuals do in our neighborhoods and the larger community to help keep our communities safe?
Well, as far as community, what Tony does here is unbelievable. We got to get the community to know their neighbor. How many people don't even know who their next door neighbor is? Know your neighbor, know your neighborhood. If it's somebody sick, bring them some food, something like that. Get to know them. And if you see something suspicious,
say something.
You call
That's
Tony.
right.
So that get community involved, community policing. Everybody knows about that. We got to go back to being neighbors. and community. Okay, that's the big thing. And if somebody's having a hard time with their kids, pitch in.
As much as you can, Doc, because some people don't want you to get in their business now.
Well, a lot of people don't want you to. Yeah, I hear that. I
about their kids. They don't want you telling them about their children. That's the problem.
Oh, yeah. Well, my kid was always at school. He was guilty to prove it otherwise. When my own child to work to the principal's office. But yeah, you're right. But then it's a 20-year program. This is we're not going to change it overnight, but you got to start somewhere. And like C.S. Lewis said, somebody was criticizing what he did. And, well, I'll tell you what, I gave the Martin Luther King Church a plaque that was in the 1938 courthouse here. It was washrooms, white with air. The color was air. And I gave him, I said, I can't change what the beginning, but I can start today and change the ending. That's what we got to do. Let's see, we'll start today. Everybody kick in, and there are a lot of good people. One lady says, "Look, my cousin was murdered. Why don't you get a bunch of the mamas of murdered kids to do this or that?" All kind of ideas, way over my pay grade. That's why I keep saying, let's get a task force with experts. And I won't be on there. I'm saying get experts.
So let me ask you this: do we still have the bonds program with the neighborhoods and stuff?
I think they changed the name.
It's not bonds.
I know neighborhood associations, neighborhood watches, exactly what he was saying.
You have your street captains and stuff like that.
Sometimes we may have, not sometimes, but we will have to readapt. Criminals, they're about 2 years out. When the law enforcement finds out what the criminal is doing, how they're doing it, we're 2 years out. So therefore, we haven't rebranded Neighborhood Watch since when? We still have the same block captain.
That's true.
Now we need to rebrand it. It's okay for you to meet just online or by email and discuss things. It's okay to have a virtual video meeting with people, because now we're time consumed. We got to take our kids to meetings. We have to, or plays or practice. We work 2 and 3 jobs, so it's hard for us to keep up. So we have to make it more convenient for the citizen.
That's true.
And we have been more convenient for the citizen. Sometimes we've been too convenient.
That's right.
Where we have to go ahead and ask more of our citizens, because right now we're dogging out the police department.
Yeah.
No, we were not supposed to.
They're partnering with the sheriff's office
when
now.
You look at the murder rate in Montgomery, for example, Montgomery has an 80% success rate in solving clearance. Name another city in the country.
We're the best.
Name another city in the country.
Murder crimes, I don't know about the other ones, but absolutely. We've got great law enforcement. We want to support them and get more of them.
Exactly. So we need to turn that back around as far as, okay, you should be a cheerleader to get somebody to go into the police department. Because obviously they're doing what they can with the numbers that they have.
Right.
What can they do with more though? So we need to go ahead and try to get them more. We need to get, like Sheriff Cunningham was saying, we need to go ahead and provide more resources. If we want our police to do more, we need to provide more resources for them to do it. But we have to stand up and become men and women and volunteer.
That's right.
We don't have a boys and girls, we don't have a big brothers, big sisters program in this city because they couldn't find the mentors. They couldn't find the big brothers, big sisters.
Right.
So they left. I think they just came back and they're trying to redevelop. But think about all the mentoring programs in the city that they don't have the mentors. They don't have the men and women to volunteer to be mentors. I mean, that's going to help if we can get people to volunteer.
That's right.
Because if you get in front of a child and you show them what success looks like, you show them how to dress for work, you show them what a job looks like as far as what do you want to do, give them a vision. If somebody wants to be a doctor, they got to look at a doctor and know a doctor in order to be a doctor. You just can't have a dream without having some type of resource to find out how to become and how to develop that dream.
It's the exposure.
Yes.
They need the
That's why I
exposure.
really, maybe this is just a pipe dream, I would love to get technical school for law enforcement. Get them in there, start them in the 11th grade, whatever, and make it cool again.
Almost like ROTC for the military.
Exactly. A junior ROTC.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think MPS has a program at Impact, if I'm not mistaken, on
don't
criminal
know.
justice.
For law enforcement?
Still going, yes.
But we got to get to the mamas and say, this is a cool thing. And look, Johnny's going to start at 55,000. You show me anybody else that graduated in class going to start at 55,000? None.
Sooner or later, we're going to have to, and this is national, we're going to have to start paying people out of high school and keep them there until they
I call them golden
are of
handcuffs.
age.
Here you go. We're going to pay you starting now. You know, you got so many years doing it. And after a while, you love it and you stay.
And I think that'll be a great process because they're learning, you're paying for their education, send them to college. When they're about to graduate, they're putting on, donning a uniform. Then you have an educated force.
We have that for rural programs for poor folks will be doctors and nurses. It definitely needs to be for law enforcement.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there are other things that we can do.
It's a lot.
I've been
It's a
pushing
lot.
every city that I go to, I always push, what are you doing with those vacant houses that you have?
Yeah.
What about giving them to a teacher? What about giving them to a police officer?
Yeah.
After 5 or 10 year commitment, let them have it.
Yep.
So let me ask you this, Tony. What can we do, or how can we get involved in the work of Crimestoppers? And Dr. Thrasher, for you, once Tony gives his remarks, can you, if you will share any final thoughts you may have following Tony?
Well, with Central Alabama Crimestoppers is easy. We're a nonprofit, so we're always looking for donations. So you can go to our website, which is 215stop.com, and on the right-hand corner is a donate section. Go ahead and donate. Second, if you know something, you've seen something, again, go to our website, download our app, P3 Tips, look for Central Alabama Crimestoppers, and submit a tip. It just starts with you. That crime that you witnessed, a lot of times people think it's someone else's responsibility. If you see it, say something about it. Go ahead, send us that information. Don't care if it's hearsay, don't care what it is. If you know something about it, let us be the judge of that, and we'll send it to the right authority. Also, go ahead and check on your elderly. Check on the people that are in need, and become that good citizen, become that example. Iron sharpens iron. Become that good example and make a difference, because you never know that those 2 or 3 words that you may, positive words that you may mention to someone, that may be a life changer to them and might start another trajectory for them.
I agree 100% what Tony said. We got to be better people. Got to be better citizens. I always say, everybody looks down at that beggar on the street or that bum. Who knows? He may be an angel in disguise. So we got to be nicer to people and learn to solve our differences. I always quote, I'm older than y'all, Ronald Reagan was president and Tip O'Neill. Different parties. They fussed all the time, arguing bills in the legislature. They went out to dinner and had a drink or supper together. That's what we're missing in society today. Dialogue. I can disagree with you, but let's do it civilly. Don't shoot you if I don't like what you're saying.
Right.
And then sit down and have them over for dinner. Get to know your neighbors best you can. I know some people don't want that, but just be a good human being.
Love it. Well, I thank you, Tony and Dr. Thrasher, for joining us today and sharing your expertise. And thank you, viewers, for tuning in to this important discussion. Remember, we all have a role to play in making our community safer. Stay informed, get involved, and let's work together for a brighter future. If you or someone you know has a story to share and would like to be a guest on the IC Lounge or interested in becoming a sponsor, call us at 334-625-6773 or visit our website at www.imperialcsg.com. This has been the IC Lounge. I'm Angela Washington. Until next time, stay safe and take care.
Promotional consideration is provided by the following sponsors.
Property fraud is one of the fastest growing areas of fraud in the country today.
REACT is designed to protect your property and to give you peace of mind. By signing up, you'll receive an email notification if a document is filed against your property.
This program is a game changer. It has the potential to prevent fraud and protect countless homeowners throughout Montgomery County.
Protect your home with React. Sign up today.
House of Greek, specializing in custom Greek and collegiate apparel. Located in the heart of Midtown Montgomery at 2001 Mulberry Street. For more information, call 334-593-2738. Pink Velvet Accessories and more, where our passion for fashion and commitment to customer satisfaction leaves our customers empowered, confident, and inspired. For more information, visit the store at 2842 Zelda Road or call 334-593-1330. And Hope Psychiatric Consultants, where we do therapy differently. For more information, visit virtual-hope.com or call 334-593-2758.